Which is a parsha that talks about Passover?
There's actually many,
Many.
but we're going to break down Pesach into three topics. Um, all of them based on the mitzvot of Pesach. And we're going to start by finding the mitzvot in the Chumash itself. Um, there are 8 mitzvot of Pesach. With Hashem's help, but this year there will be more because there's also mitzvot regarding the Pesach sacrifice. So hopefully Mashiach will be here before Pesach comes, and we'll have to add the mitzvot.
Temple was
That's right.
destroyed.
That's right.
We don't do those anymore.
That's correct. We have remembrances of them, as you will see when we get to our second or third class on the topic.
Can I ask you a random question that came out yesterday? Can you study Torah on your bed?
Yes.
Yeah?
Ish.
Ish.
Because it depends what the options are. If the option is that you're going to sit up and go somewhere else and study Torah, that would be more appropriate.
Right.
But if the option is you're not going to study Torah, then absolutely. Okay. So there are 8 mitzvot of Pesach, which means all of us, regardless of our levels of observance or whatever customs or whatever it is, all of us invest a lot of time, energy, and money into the celebration of Pesach. That's just a fact. Okay, it's a big, big investment by the Jewish people in this celebration of Pesach. But the purpose of all of this investment is to fulfill Hashem's will. And Hashem asks us to do or not do, because mitzvot are either things we do or don't do, to do or not do 8 things. And that's the whole objective. So everything else is either customs that surround these mitzvot or laws that are details of these mitzvot. But it's important to get the big picture. When you get the big picture, then you can understand what each little thing has to do with, well, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe some things we should do more. Maybe some things we should dial down a little bit. But when you get the big picture, you can see the forest from the trees and you can really understand what we're trying to do or not do. So the first thing we're going to do, and we'll do this for all of our 3 classes on Pesach, if that's the route we take, which I think we are, we'll do everything. We'll always start from the Chumash because the Chumash will be our guide. At the end of the day, it's how we know what Hashem wants us to do. No, the Chumash is the Torah itself. That's why I say it. That's right. That's right. Chumash is the printed version of the Torah. That's what it is. But then, obviously, I'll share with you the oral Torah regarding the written Torah. But the written Torah is the foundation.
Mishnah.
Mishnah is the first book of the oral Torah. It's the first time it was written down. But then it was elaborated even further in the Gemara, and then through what we call the Rishonim, which are Rambam and others, and then in the Achronim, which is the Shulchan Aruch and others. So that's the progression.
The Shulchan Aruch at the end is like the summary. It's like bullet points of what.
Let's say, but not entirely, but yes. Like everything in Torah, it's
right.
Right. But even the Rambam is the bullet points.
Okay.
Okay. So it's complicated to distinguish between the two of them in certain ways. Okay, so let's open up to chapter 13. Chapter 12. We're going to start in chapter 12. I'm sorry, and as a matter of fact, I forgot to tell you the book because we're looking at Chumash. Chumash, you have to know which book. That's the first thing you always have to know when you open a Chumash. We're looking in Shemot, which is the second book of the Torah, and we're looking for chapter. If you look on the very top, you'll see there's different numbers. There's a bold number and then a non-bold number. The bold number is the chapter. The non-bold number is the pasuk, the verse. So we're going into chapter 12, and we're going to look at we're going to look at
Who came up with the parashot? Because it's in theory there's no chapters, right?
So the real way to read, it's a good question. Chapters are Christian.
Are Christian, right?
Christian. The chapters were created by Christian scholars, and it became a convenient way to reference it.
Okay.
What is not Christian is, forget the parsha for a second, is a different meaning of the word parsha. If you look in the actual Torah, the way the Torah is written, you'll see that it looks like paragraphs. There's areas where there's spaces. Yeah, I was wondering whose it was. Very good. See, no, atrás del TV, there should be some. Yeah. In the Torah itself, the way the Torah is written, it looks like words, then space, then words, space. That's a real parsha. What we call a parsha is really a sedra. A sedra is a reading for the week. A parsha is the spacing in the Torah. Okay, that all of those are tradition from Moshe. Not the verses are also tradition from Moshe, but not the chapters. So you would not have verse numbers, but you would know where a verse begins and ends based on tradition. Yeah. We're going to go to chapter 12, verse 14. I'll just give you the basics of what's going on. This is in the land of Egypt still. Moshe is speaking to the Jewish people, and he's asking the Jewish people previous to this, he's asking them to take sheep into their homes for the purpose of eventually making a sacrifice. And then they were going to eat matzah in Egypt. They're going to eat matzah. So everybody speaks about matzah because we are leaving Egypt in a rush. The first time we eat matzah is in Egypt, not when we leave Egypt. Interesting point, but for another conversation.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
We're doing this parasha because of Pesach,
Right.
but we're not on this parasha.
No. The parsha of the week does not necessarily have anything to do with the cycle of the year.
I learned that my son did bar mitzvah on Sukkot. So you go in order, and on the holidays you read you break the order and you read the parasha that mention that holiday.
Correct. That's exactly right.
And then you continue the order.
That's right.
Okay.
Esta parasha menciona Pesach.
So this parsha that we're going to be starting with is the story of Pesach, not just the mitzvah of Pesach. Within it, so there's certain things in this parsha that are discussing what Moshe tells the Jews at that time. All of it's discussing what Moshe tells the Jews at that time, but some of it deals with what was appropriate for that minute. But you'll see in a minute what he says is and now I'm going to tell you what's going to happen forever because of this event. So let's read it. Go ahead. You read it 14 para nosotros.
In English?
Should have it in Spanish, no?
Será este día.
Okay, so only the top is the Chumash.
Será este día.
Hold on, this is the Chumash, and this is all explanations. So only the top is Chumash.
La festividad de Pesach. Será este día para ustedes un recuerdo, y lo celebrarán como una festividad para Hashem, para sus generaciones, como un decreto eterno, la celebrarán.
So that is the mitzvah. You could take a Chumash if you want. That is the mitzvah. But it's not a mitzvah yet. That's Moshe telling you that this is going to be forever. This celebration is going to be in 2026 in Sky Lake.
Durante un periodo de 7 días, matzot comerán.
Okay.
Pero el día anterior anularán la levadura de sus hogares, pues todo el que coma alimentos leudados será cortada esa alma de Israel, desde el primer día hasta el séptimo día.
So the first mitzvah is a positive mitzvah. It is a mitzvah to destroy chametz in your possession. That's right. Destroy chametz in your possession. Later, we're going to go through and show the details of how these mitzvahs work. Now we're just going to find the mitzvahs.
Then
Every mitzvah is always found in the Torah. So this is where it's found in the Torah. So if you want, you could write down, why not? Since you're at it already, I'm going to tell you, leave a space between each mitzvah, because I'm going to give you like additional notes for each mitzvah. Just a small space, one line. Later we'll go into detail. But write the source is Shemot 13, 15. 13 is the chapter, 12 rather, 12, 15. 12 is the chapter, 12, and 15 is the verse. Good. Siga.
el primer día será una convocación sagrada y el séptimo día será una convocación sagrada para ustedes.
This is another mitzvah, but I'm not including it in our 8 mitzvot.
The Yom
Because this
Tov.
is just like Yom Tov of every other Yom Tov.
Yeah. Ningún trabajo podrá realizarse en aquellos días, excepto aquellos que deba comer cada persona. Solo eso podrá hacerse para usted.
This is why on holidays, as opposed to Shabbat, you're allowed to cook. Okay, because the mitzvah tells us that it's just like Shabbat, you're not allowed to do the things you can't do in Shabbat. However, whatever you're allowed to do for food is permissible.
Yeah.
So that's why we're allowed to light a fire as long as from an existing fire. We're allowed to cook. In theory, we would be allowed to grind things. We'd be allowed to knead flour. In theory, there's practical problems with some of these things.
We're allowed to turn on the oven, for example.
Only, so turning on the oven would be a problem. The only time you would be allowed to is if your oven is a gas oven.
Yeah.
And it has an existing flame on it. It has a pilot. Then you would be allowed to turn on the oven. But what you are certainly allowed to do is turn up the oven in almost every oven. There could be some ovens that are exceptions. But you are, for example, allowed to turn on a gas flame. Okay, that you're allowed to do. But you need to light it from an existing flame, so you can't do the because that's an electric flame. But if you have a gas flame with an electric, or if you could turn it on in such a way that it's not going to go click, 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 and you light it with a candle or a match that was lit from a candle, then you would be allowed to turn on a gas flame. Does that make sense?
Antes de Yom Tov, a veces desconectamos
El chick, chick, chick,
el cable, así que se puede prender. Ese caso es que se acaba, se apaga.
Right. But let's stay focused on the 8 mitzvot. So this is these are mitzvot of Pesach, but not the 8 mitzvot of Pesach that are special for Pesach.
So one.
So far, we have one so far. Destroy chametz in your possession.
Maybe the preparation.
Let's see. You'll figure it all out once
But
we.
eating matzah is not a mitzvah.
Well, hold on. Go to turn the page.
Because we said already we're gonna.
Yes, but you'll see why I'm not saying it yet.
Cuidarán las matzot, pues en este mismo día habré sacado a sus legiones de la tierra de Egipto. Observarán este día por sus generaciones como un decreto eterno. En el primero mes, el día 14 del mes.
Okay, before you heard the word cuidarán, to guard the matzot.
Yeah.
That is where the word shemura matzah comes from. Matzah, which is shmura, which is guarded. Because what does it mean to guard your matzah?
Yeah, you see the whole process.
It means that from the time that the wheat was cut, there's different opinions, but that's the way we follow. From the time that the wheat was cut, they ensure that no water came in contact with the wheat until the right time. At the very end, water does come into contact with the wheat in order to make the matzah. But that what means to guard the matzah. So we have the word shmura matzah. Let me just see one thing.
So that's why we can only mojar the matzah.
So getting matzah wet is another issue. We're going to get into details. Hold your question. Not today. I'm not going to answer that one today. But we will get into the details. But getting your matzah wet or not getting your matzah wet is not a law. It's a custom.
Okay. And can I ask you, because we said el primer día será de la convocación sagrada y el séptimo. We do 2 days.
That's only outside of Israel.
I know, but isn't it like not following?
Yes, it's not, sort of.
Because I at the time it made sense because you couldn't communicate and it took long to send, right?
So that's again a bigger topic, a complicated topic. I just want to stay focused because otherwise we're not going to get through.
Okay.
It's an important question. I'll just say that that there's many things that we do to remind us of the practice that occurred while the Beit HaMikdash was standing. And having 2 days of Yom Tov would be such a reminder.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Siga.
En el primero mes, el día 14 del mes, al anochecer, comerás matzot hasta el día 21 del mes anochecer.
Bueno, this is the next mitzvah. It is a positive mitzvah on the night of the 14th to eat matzah.
Yeah.
So we must eat matzah. I'm going to go through all these mitzvahs in details later. I just want to tell you real quickly, it says to eat matzah. It doesn't say to nibble on matzah.
¿En qué momento?
Este es 382, number 19. So, para decir Shemot 12, 19. Shemot 12, 19. That is a positive mitzvah. So far, we have two positive mitzvahs.
No,
17 or 19?
Oh, no, you're right. She's right. As usual, I'm wrong. No, 18, 18.
18.
18.
Ah, 18. Ujú.
Pero que
Comerán matzot. Comerán matzot.
14
The
del mes.
night of the 14th.
So hasta el día is permission. You
Right,
can
but
eat as much.
But
But esta noche es mitzvah. Comer matzah.
You
¿Qué
could not
mes?
eat that matzah the rest of the days.
No, right.
You
If you
could.
chose not to.
¿Cuál
If you
es
chose
el
not to.
Nisan.
Nisan.
14 Nisan.
Sí.
Que la mitzvah es comer ese día, tú si quieres, o sea, puedes comer hasta el 21, pero si no quieres, no pasa nada.
Okay, la mitzvah es comer la noche del 14.
Exactly. Now, eating has rules. We're going to learn about this later.
The 15 now for us.
Yeah. So we follow it, but then it becomes a rabbinic mitzvah, not a Torah mitzvah. The Torah mitzvah is the first night.
Is there a difference of
Of course there
we
is.
have to eat it and everything?
Minor differences, but yeah. But the point is that when you and I'm not gonna give you the details now, but you need to eat a certain amount for it to be called eating. If I take one little bite of this, Baruch atah Machalam, very many mizanot, I took one little bite. It's not called eating. It's called tasting.
Mhm.
Eating is an amount, and if I take one little bite throughout the entire class, it's not really eating either.
Yeah.
You have to eat an amount within a certain time period, and we're going to learn all about that.
What's the
It's a kazayit. Yeah. We'll get there. Yes. Well, if to eat for Birkat Hamazon, yes. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
So far we have two mitzvot, right? Good. Let's keep going.
Durante 7 días, levadura no podrá hallarse en sus casas.
Ah.
Todo el que coma leudo, esta alma será cortada de la congregación de Israel, tanto el converso como el nativo de la tierra.
So this is the mitzvah.
Que strong.
Yes, it is. And we're going to soon go into more detail about this. But this is the mitzvah of not to eat chametz.
So that's
Number 3.
Mhm.
Which pasuk was that?
20.
20.
20. So far we have 3 mitzvot.
Pasuk, ¿cuál?
Wow.
Tu alma.
Verse.
Yeah.
And then.
To be discussed. We will discuss it
¿En qué
all.
verse
Después en
leíste?
el
20.
20.
Mhm.
Now let's scroll, right? We
Because
don't
then
turn pages
the-
anymore.
Sacrifice.
So we're going to skip all that. We're going to scroll a little bit, right? Nobody turns pages anymore. Now we scroll.
It's appropriate for Torah.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. We're going to scroll to chapter 13.
O sea, para atrás.
No.
No,
Ah, no.
chapter 13. And we're going to start. Why not? We'll start with verse 1. We don't really need to, but we'll start with verse 1.
Ya,
Toma las 11.
Yeah.
La
Eso.
389.
Acá.
Ujú.
¿Quieres leer?
¿Yo?
Sí.
Ok. Y habló Hashem a Moshe, diciendo, santifícame cada primogénito, el primero de cada matriz entre los hijos de Israel, del hombre y de la bestia, mío es. Y dijo Moshe al pueblo, recuerda este día en que partieron de Egipto, de la casa de la esclavitud, pues con mano fuerte Hashem les quitó de ahí, y por eso no se comerá jamés.
Otra vez, not to eat chametz. So this is going to be another mitzvah, but it looks the same as the previous mitzvah, but it's a little different.
But it also doesn't present as don't eat chametz. It's not
Yeah.
a commandment.
Sure.
It
Dice,
is.
no se comerá
Yeah.
jamás.
Okay.
Sí.
So it's going to be a little bit different because it sounds the same, so it must be.
No, pero dice como si como te sacó con mano fuerte, por eso no come las hametz.
No
Like
com-
it's correlated to something.
That's what I was saying.
But nonetheless,
Like a
velo ye'achel chametz. You
Oh,
may not eat chametz,
okay.
which makes it a mitzvah.
Okay, okay. Gotcha.
So this is going to be a little different. I'll tell you how to write it or how you can. Don't eat mixtures that contain chametz.
That's different from
Different from the first one. The first one is eating chametz. The second one is eating mixtures that contain chametz.
How do we learn
So,
that
for
from here?
example, chametz would be eating bread, eating pasta, eating what is it called? Cake. All of those would be the mitzvah of not eating chametz. Not eating mixtures that contain chametz would be beer, whiskey. Okay? These are things, there's no chametz. You don't see chametz, but it's something which contains chametz. We'll analyze everything soon. Let's get the list of the mitzvahs first, and then we'll analyze. Okay.
So continue.
Sí.
Hoy ustedes salen en el mes de la primavera y sucederá
Just
cuando
one moment. This teaches us that the Pesach must be during the spring. Now, why does that matter? Of course, it's during the spring. It follows a calendar. No, because our calendar is a lunar calendar, and the lunar calendar loses 11 days every year. So that means in 9 months you'll have lost 9 years you'll have lost an entire season. In 3 years, an entire month. In 9 years, an entire 3 months. So Pesach wouldn't be in the spring. It would be in what's
and when you
before
have
the
two
winter.
months of Adar,
Huh?
That's to correct
That's
this.
why we have the 2 Adars to correct this. That's all I want to point out. Okay.
en el mes de la primavera.
¿Cada cuánto? How often is Adar?
7 out of 19 years. And the average works out perfect. Yeah.
Y sucederá cuando te traiga Hashem a la tierra de los cananeos, los eteos, los amorreos, los heveos y los jebuseos, que juró a tus antepasados que te daría, una tierra que emana leche y miel, que realizarás este servicio en este mes. Durante un lapso de 7 días comerás matzot, y en el 7º día habrá una festividad para Hashem. Matzot se comerán durante el periodo de 7 días. No podrá verse en tu posesión hametz, ni podrá verse en tu posesión levadura en todas tus fronteras.
Stop right there. That's 2 mitzvot. You cannot see chametz, but I'm going to add some words in a minute. And you cannot, the second mitzvah is you cannot own chametz. Both of them is Shemot 13:7. You cannot see chametz. Now add the words in your possession that belongs to you. Meaning you can go into the Publix and see chametz. It's not a problem. But you cannot see chametz that belongs to you, and you cannot own chametz. 2 separate mitzvot. Okay? Fine. We're going to do one more mitzvah here, and then we're going to turn the page one last time. And that should bring us up to 8 mitzvot. How many do we have so far? 6. Perfect. Okay.
And I forgot where I am.
You're up to number 8.
Y relatarás a tu hijo en ese día, diciendo, es a causa de esto que actuó Hashem para mí cuando salí de Egipto.
Perfect. That's the next mitzvah. This is the Haggadah. That's where the word Haggadah, if you look in the Hebrew, Vihigadata levincha, Haggadah. That's literally what the Hebrew says. You will teach it, or tell it, better, you will tell it to your children. That is mitzvah number 7. And that is, of course, on the night of Pesach. And that is Shemot 13:8. Let's read the next line just because it's interesting. But it's not one of the mitzvahs for Pesach.
Y será para ti una señal sobre tu brazo y un recordatorio entre tus ojos, para que esté la Torá de Hashem en tu boca. Pues con mano fuerte te sacó Hashem de Egipto.
So this tells us that one of the reasons we wear tefillin is to remind us of leaving Mitzrayim. That's what it says. Okay. See. No. Octavo, we're going to turn all the way till Devarim. Devarim is the last book of the Torah.
What's the connection between Hametz and Passover?
There's so much we need to uncover here. Now I'm just showing you the mitzvot. I think we're going to need more than 3 classes, though, because I was hoping would be quick, and then we go into. You'll soon see. Good call. Good call. Muchas preguntas. Y yo no dije nada de cómo hacer ningún mitzvah. We'll get there.
Esa parte.
Sí.
But maybe.
Yes. No. Always. Tefillin reminds us of this.
And do we learn the mitzvah of tefillin from here?
This is one of the places. Tefillin's written in 4 different places. Almost all of them have to do with Pesach.
Oh, wow.
Yo lo leí en el libro.
Okay.
Supuestamente Gabriel, the angel, he was taking care of the people crossing the
Okay.
sea. Supposedly he was taking care of the left side or something like that.
Interesting. It makes sense. Gabriel is the left. So it makes sense. It does make sense. Mimino Gabriel. No, Gabriel is right. Mimino Gabriel. Mismolo. No, Mimino Michael. Mismolo Gabriel. Right. So Gabriel is the left. Turn to page 1084. I'm going to help you out instead of making you look for it, even though I should. So you learn the skills.
Well, I do this in Shabbat.
Chapter 16. We're going to start with verse 1 of the book of Devarim. 1085. 1085. You want to read for us this time?
Observarás el mes de la primavera y realizarás la ofrenda de Pesach para Hashem, tu Dios, porque en el mes de la primavera te sacó Hashem, tu Dios, de Egipto, de noche. Sacrificarás la ofrenda de Pesach a Hashem, tu Dios, del rebaño, y también ofrendarás vacuno en el lugar que Hashem elegirá para que more su nombre ahí.
Which is, of course, the Beit HaMikdash, which is, of course, why Tucker Carlson is 100% correct. Chabad is trying to rebuild the Beit HaMikdash, the 3rd Beit HaMikdash, and kudos. Well done, Tucker. He should also die a painful death and disappear off this earth, but he's still right.
No comerás pan leudado con él. 7 días comerás por él matzot, pan de aflicción, porque presuroso saliste de la tierra de Egipto, para que recuerdes el día de tu salida de la tierra de Egipto todos los días de tu vida.
Okay, so here we have yet another place not to eat chametz. This is the 3rd time we're mentioning not to eat chametz, but there's a distinction here because it says don't eat chametz with it. With what? With what we just said earlier.
Water.
No, what did we say earlier?
On this.
What were we talking about before?
Sacrifice?
With the sacrifice. The sacrifice was brought not on Pesach. It was brought the day before Pesach. The sacrifice was brought anytime starting from midday of the day before Pesach. This is one additional mitzvah that tells us not only can we not eat chametz on Pesach, but we cannot eat chametz on the day before Pesach, starting from midday. So this is a mitzvah telling us that you cannot eat chametz erev Pesach, starting at midday.
But matzah, yeah. But they didn't eat it with matzah.
They did, but that comes later at night.
Okay, so no hametz.
No eating chametz erev Pesach from midday forward. And that would be Devarim 16:3. Bueno. Now we could begin, even though it's 9 o'clock already. For today, all we're going to do is do a basic analysis. I was hoping to go a little deeper into one of the sections. We're going to do a basic analysis of these 8 mitzvot. Number one, you should notice that there are mitzvot to do and mitzvot not to do.
Good.
We call this mitzvot aseh and mitzvot lo taseh. In the Torah, there are 248 mitzvot aseh, mitzvot to do, cosas que hay que hacer. And there's 365 mitzvot lo taseh, cosas que no debes hacer, things you may not do. Out of these 8 mitzvot, 5 of them are negative and 3 of them are positive. I'll let you do the analysis. You don't need my help. But right next to each one, it's worthwhile to write next to each one, just write a plus or a negative.
But how many you say so?
Well, you tell me. I'm not going to tell you. Destruir es hacer. So un plus. The first one, let's go one by one. In total, 365 not to do, and 248 to do. So what's your number? What did you come up with? 3 and 5. Okay? 3 that you must do, and 5 that you may not do. In addition,
All the mitzvahs have the same.
Eso para
Point.
Passover.
we're getting there. That's what I was about to say. In addition, we can divide these mitzvot into 2 basic categories. One category is mitzvot that have to do with chametz, which is what you keep pointing out, and one is mitzvot that have to do with the night of Pesach. How many of each? Go ahead. I would write those down too. Chametz and night of Pesach. Put them by each one.
First one hametz, second one hametz too. No, comer matzah is in the night of Pesach.
That's correct.
So,
Hametz.
the ones that we already called.
Yeah, we're reanalyzing each one of them based on these subdivisions. Is night of Pesach. Exactly.
You can eat hametz, right? Hametz.
Yeah, that's not night.
So how many do you have of each? 2 Pesach and 6 of chametz. Exactly right. Well done, ladies. So there's 2 of the 8 mitzvot of Pesach. 2 of them are positive mitzvot we have to do the night of Pesach, and 6 of them are dealing with chametz. I'm going to go drop deeper in. The mitzvot of chametz you can further subdivide into 2 categories. One category has to do with eating it, and one category has to do with owning it. Okay, go ahead. What's the what are your subdivisions? What's your numbers there? Bueno. One category has to do with eating chametz, and one category has to do with owning chametz. Right? No, comer matzah is matzah. Is noche. Eating.
Not in mixtures and eating.
Mm-hmm.
You can see hametz and owning. I think it's owning.
Owning.
Oh. You cannot hametz and owning.
Owning.
You can eat hametz, owning.
No,
eating it.
Eating it.
Depending on eating it or owning it.
Bueno, you finished. So how many of each?
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Well done. So what we've established so far, and this is the big point so far, and then we're going to go into more detail into each of the topics. What we've established so far is that we have 2 mitzvot for the night of Pesach. We have 3 mitzvot that tell us not to eat chametz, and we have 3 mitzvot that talk about not owning chametz. We got it so far?
Yeah.
I wanted to dedicate one class to each of these topics. Why? Because really, when you think about it, one is the night of the Seder. So that's preparing for the Seder, getting the Seder right, and doing the Seder, understanding what's going on in the Seder. There's so much that goes on in the Seder, we don't really get it, especially the book. And I'll work on the book with you guys so you understand what you're actually reading. So that is the night of Pesach. Then you have all the preparation that we do, so much cleaning and getting rid of stuff, and the search of the chametz and the selling your chametz. That's all has to do with owning the chametz. And then you have the crazy stuff, which has to do with eating chametz. And we have 3 separate mitzvot about eating chametz, and that's what happens in the kitchen.
Can you
Its
repeat
own topic.
the owning?
What are the 3?
Yeah, what we have to
One is you may not own it. One is you may not see chametz that you own. And one is you must destroy your chametz.
So that's when you do the cleaning when you
That's all the cleaning. That also is the buskela de la chametz. That also is selling your chametz. All of that is to fulfill the mitzvot of not owning chametz. The 3
Wow.
mitzvot of not owning chametz.
Everything seems so crazy until you actually read.
Well, that's
So
my
you
objective.
did?
My
Then you
real objective is
understand how
to.
it's, we're just
We have so many
a pie de lo
details,
que
so
dice.
many stuff that people talk. If you can see the big picture, it changes the entire meaning of what's going on.
Yeah.
And all the effort that you put in, and all the energy you put in, all the money you put in, and all the brain space that you put into this picture. Ultimately, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make Hashem happy. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying. That's really what we're doing. Hashem wants us to do certain things and not do certain things. He gave us 3 things not to do on Pesach, 5 things not to do. The basic topics is the Passover night. He told us not to own or eat chametz throughout Pesach. And all of this effort is just to do that. That's what we do. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Good. I'm going to go drop into detail on one of the topics because really I was hoping to spend today on this topic, but I guess we'll try and push in a 4th class somehow. I don't know how we're going to do it between on Pesach, because Erev Pesach is Wednesday.
Oh wow, yeah.
So the 4th class would be on Wednesday,
Maybe we do it.
Erev Pesach. So maybe we can add one day sometime.
Yeah.
Okay, but each one of these is a worthwhile class for itself. Let's start with the one that some of us are already working on, which is not to own chametz. That's why we're cleaning our houses.
We should already be clean.
It's not a bad move. I'm not saying you have to. If you understand what we're trying to do, then people will start cleaning in advance. Doesn't mean you have to make yourself crazy. This is going to be the minimalist part that you were asking. The maximalist part is on the eating. I'll explain that when we get there, not today. When it comes to not owning chametz, we have one primary objective, which is not to own any piece of chametz that is larger than an olive, this size right here. Golf ball, a little smaller than a golf ball. That's our main objective.
What's the name of that measurement?
Kizayet, the size of an olive. We've added to this a little bit that we try not to own chametz, period. Okay, so what do we do? And I'm going to go in more detail in a separate class on the details of what I'm telling you right now.
But when you clean and you say that everything should disappear, even the things that I know or I don't know, then
Right.
you're good.
That's right. So really, in theory, you can fulfill all of the 3 mitzvot that have to do with not owning chametz
After you've done the,
without doing anything. In theory,
right.
listen to what I'm saying. No, you don't even have to do that. You can stand and make this following declaration, which we say twice. Kol chamir vechamia, any chametz, the ika birshusi that exists in my possession, and I'm going to say the short version, heavy ka'afar da'ara, let it be like the dust of the earth.
You declared it.
So I've declared it ownerless.
You have to say it.
You have to say this. Theoretically, listen to what I'm saying. Underline the word theoretically, because this is not the way we practice. Theoretically, that would be enough to deal with all 3 mitzvot. Why? Because you're not allowed to see chametz that belongs to you. It doesn't belong to you anymore. A person, if I say right now that this phone no longer belongs to me, it doesn't.
Even okay, yeah.
It doesn't. Okay? You can take it if I say so.
Right.
I make a verbal declaration and I say it with my whole heart. You can take it. But my whole heart's part of the problem. Because sometimes I could say, this phone is now ownerless and whoever wants can take it. And the Hindi reaches out for it. And I say, no. Because I didn't really mean it. So that's part of the problem. A second part of the problem is you have a nice Hamantash that's in the plastic, although those are not so good, but let's pretend. Okay, yeah, but there's nice Hamantash in the plastic, and you said it's ownerless. but it's 1:30 in the morning, and you wake up, and you go to your usual Hamantash spot, and you open the door without thinking about it, and you grab your Hamantash.
Your animal soul.
Yes, exactly. And this is your autonomous animal soul. We're going to give a more scientific word to it. Your autonomous animal soul sees it and instinctually takes it.
Yeah.
So, in order to evitar, not just owning, but not to eat, we also become stricter in our preparation of removing chametz from our possession.
Que no se ve.
So, not only do we make this declaration, we do two more things. Okay, and the two more things that we do, and we're going to go in more detail on both of these things, is we search for the chametz and we burn the chametz. Okay. Now the search for chametz begins today, even though we have the
You're saying today
today
by coincidence or?
no today meaning
This
the day
week.
after Purim.
Okay.
Okay, the day after Purim, which is that we go through our homes and we remove everything that could be chametz. So that means you start from the bedrooms. I'm giving a theoretical. You start from the bedrooms. You go to the bathrooms. You do the dining room, the living room. Forget the kitchen now. The kitchen is special because that has to do with eating chametz. That's a whole nother topic.
So you shouldn't have hametz in the house.
No, in theory you can, but the smart move is to start getting it out of the system. Now, does that mean you have to go crazy? A little bit. Jewish women throughout history have gone crazy to remove the chametz, which is a beautiful thing. And your cars, by the way. Cars is maybe the biggest problem. Okay, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
Okay, cars are the biggest problem.
There's always a Cheerio.
Yes, exactly.
Y
So
mi
Jewish
casero
women
con
have gone crazy throughout history, but it's very important, and we're going to go in detail in this next class.
But that one you're never gonna eat a dirty Cheerio. That's
You
in your
won't.
But
car.
you can't see it, no?
But your kids might.
Pero bebé sí.
You know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you haven't answered what's the connection of chametz and
No, I didn't. I told you we're going to do a whole thing on chametz. We just
Okay.
it's a hard question to answer because it's not obvious. Matzah is obvious. Chametz is not.
Meaning
What
what?
does chametz have to do with Pesach? Period. Has nothing to do with it.
So
There's no logic to it.
to be so prominent because it's
It's huge.
it's huge.
This is 6 of the 8 things. It's big.
So you start searching and it's because we do sometimes like put it in one place and say like
Sure.
close it, do not
Sure.
open chametz.
So what you want
Very
to start
clear,
doing is you want to start
narrow.
pushing it
Mhm.
into the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? So that now you look throughout your possessions, you look through everything. So go room by room and start working on it. Start getting it out of the system. And your cars. But there's an old expression, and I've heard it said in the name of the Rebbe. I don't know, I haven't seen a place for it. That dust is not chametz, and children are not the korban pesach.
I like that because you make it such a dread that they don't enjoy the.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful. On the other hand, you still have to fulfill the mitzvah. So there's balance here.
Que no es tan pesado que
El-
sea una fiesta fastidiosa para los niños, porque estás tan intensa de limpiar, no sé qué, que es como que le caes mal a todo el mundo, eres insoportable.
And also, I
no
actually
lo
just saw
disfrutan.
a beautiful letter from the
Ya
Rebbe
ya
Rashab.
quedó mal.
They said, if you clean so much,
Regardless,
you're not women are
independientemente de
obligated
Hametz.
to
Right.
the boy and the this and the
Very good. Very good. Hindi's saying that there's also the important thing to remember that we still have the mitzvah of the night of Pesach. And if a woman has been working so hard
Then
leading up to Pesach, how's she going to do the mitzvah of Pesach?
She's supposed to be happy.
She's supposed to not be happy. She's supposed to be a free woman. So there's this balance that's going on. We want to fulfill Hashem's mitzvah, and there's a lot of negativity going on here, meaning there's the negative mitzvahs. We got to worry about them. But on the other hand, we want to balance this with a positive experience. So that's why I suggest you start early.
Yeah.
You start early, it takes the pressure down. It dials the pressure down. So the objective in these next couple weeks is to begin the search for chametz. It's not the physical search for chametz yet. It's the preparation for the search for chametz.
Yeah.
So you're essentially searching, but you're not doing the religious search for chametz yet. You're doing the actual religious search. You're trying to get chametz out of the system. You see what I'm saying?
Is the correlation between Hametz and ego? Is that a Hasidic?
It's not only
It's
Hasidic.
not only Hasidic.
Yes, it's no, but it is.
But is there
Hasidus emphasizes it.
version of starting to clean the Hametz, like do you
Absolutely.
study harder?
Absolutely,
legal-
absolutely,
Yeah.
no question.
Yeah.
So she brings a good point, and we'll conclude with this. And I was going to hold this for the next class, but since you brought up one of the big spiritual understandings of what chametz represents and why we're so careful neither to own it nor to eat it, is that it represents ego. There is room for ego, as we'll learn later when we get to the conversation, but very controlled, very controlled. And therefore, we have 8 days where we completely remove it from our lives. Okay, we're 7 in Israel. So ego is critical. How are you going to get anything done if you don't have ego? But it has to be under control. So we take this ego fast, right? Everyone's fasting these days. You have your technology fat, you're fast, you're this fast, the other fast. So you have your ego fast. That's a lot of what is represented here. So certainly you have to start the search for the negative ego as you're doing your physical search for the chametz. No question. No question. But it's important to know what we're really trying to do. We're trying to get cookies out of the picture. We're trying to get items of chametz that are of a certain size out of the picture. But on the other hand, you have to be very careful. Throw it away or bring it to your kitchen for now. So you begin to focus it. Right. But now it's still, we have plenty of time. So you can bring it into the kitchen. And you have to start becoming conscious of other things that can be chametz in your life that you don't think of. Maybe, I'm not saying yes or no, we'll get to a detailed question on this. Shampoos, maybe.
Yeah.
Soaps,
Perfume.
maybe perfumes. We'll get into details on all that.
Toothbrush is even worse. 'cause it's
Toothbrushes, yes, toothbrush is a big deal. Toothpaste could be a big deal. We'll go into details on all these matters. But, sorry? Cambiar, sí. Cambiar hay que, sí.
But toothpaste is not the side of us.
Most toothpaste, they say, and not only that, no. So when it comes to eating, owning, comes to eating is different. Yes, that's right. Okay,
But it's a law of kashrut.
Hashem should bless us that before we even get to our second or next class, we should need to learn about the Korban Pesach as well, because Mashiach will be here with Hashem, which is what the Pesach is really all about. And we're going to conclude with that. Go ahead.
My kids live.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do we want to continue down this road for the Pesach story? Okay, good. Okay.
My kids, so, and they're in Hebraica.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day, 2 days ago, one of my sons was on a class reading from the Torah. He wasn't. He was just looking,
Mm-hmm.
and the Torah fell.
The whole Sefer Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Though he have to fast.
Really, yes.
What happened?
¿Cuántos años tiene?
So what people do if they don't want to fast is they give tzedakah in the amount of the meals that you would have eaten. So it's 3 meals. It's 3 times whatever a kosher meal costs. I don't know what it costs in Venezuela.
Oh, because it's only 1 day of fasting.
So really, it's 40 days of fasting. Yeah. So you give tzedakah for 120 meals is the best if you don't want to eat. But that's what I've seen people do. But yeah, how old are they? How old are they? Okay, that's a good start. How old are they? 15. So he's over bar mitzvah already.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole room, todo el Todos los que
el
estaban
talón
ahí en el
tenía
salón.
que,
Sí.
exacto.
But I actually once read an article which is so
But
beautiful.
he's saying
It
was
happens.
apart.
Apart.